With each day, you feel increasingly tired due to the weight of so many responsibilities. You work hard, you work non-stop, but your dreams don't seem to come true in the way you expect, or they don't come true at all. When you finally manage to solve an exhausting problem that has taken away your strength, your resources, your days and nights, you face even more challenges and issues to be solved. You simply can't reach the finish line. You can't even see it. You can't achieve what you're supposed to. The race is too hard, the road is too long, and you are tired. You stop running and you think, why am I even supposed to run this race? How can I complete it? Is there still someone there I can count on? If this is a thought that continually bothers you, I invite you to watch this message because I really believe the things said here will be significant to you. Besides this message, you can find many others on our website. On the front page, just click on the ANCF TV box and you'll be able to watch all the videos. Today we will take a look at another relevant aspect of faith that deals with patience, perseverance, and endurance. Faith along the road. Let's take a look at the first 3 verses of Hebrews chapter 12. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. I knew if I stopped or sat down, that will be the end of it. I was just determined to make it to that finish line. These are the words of Gabriela Anderson, a Swiss athlete who ran the first ever women's marathon at the 1984 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Gabriela had somehow missed the water station and did not replenish herself in the last phase of the race. Dehydrated and awkwardly leaning to her left, she ended up providing one of the most compelling, at the same time inspiring, scenes of the history of the Olympic Games. I was a small boy, but I still remember the magnitude of that moment. When I saw her staggering in the Olympic Stadium under the 30 degrees Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit, heat and humidity of August in Los Angeles, I was struck by that overwhelming scene. It was far from ideal from a marathon contest, but it sent a powerful message to many people who even today could benefit from its lesson. Many years later, in an interview, she said, "In life, there are so many setbacks. I always tell myself, don't give up. Head straight for your goal." Okay, so what does this historical sports episode have to do with our passage today? Well, chapter 11 of the book of Hebrews gives us a list of people who lived by faith. I think you remember that. We are told that after having participated and achieved success in the most crucial race of life, they are now rooting for our success. These first 3 verses of now chapter 12 use an illustration typical of ancient writings, a crowded Olympic stadium hosting a race. The Apostle Paul, for instance, used the same illustration to teach us about disciplines for a life of faith and relationship with God. While the message may not be difficult to understand, the application of this biblical truth in our lives is critical. Look carefully and notice that it invites us to participate in the race of faith. So 3 critical questions arise when we think about this race of faith. The first question is, why should we even think of participating in this race of faith? Well, simply put, it is because God determines this race. The first verse says, "Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." There is no need here to speculate on who would be proposing this race to us. God Himself does it. But here's the thing, it is not an obligation, but a blessing. Ultimately, it can be said that this race of faith is also the race of grace. And why? Well, because God Himself is both the one who establishes it for us and the one who enables us to run it triumphantly. The race of faith is God's race for us, and we will not be alone. We will never be left to our own devices. Otherwise, we would all be doomed to destruction. Who can run the race of faith by their own strength? Nobody. The race that God proposes to us is the race of grace. He equips us to win this race. So do not be afraid of running this race. It is not just one more thing you have to include on your already packed schedule. It is the vehicle God uses to fill our lives with peace and grace and mercy and joy and love. It is also the way in which we obtain God's blessings and support for our daily lives. Now the second question. Is there anything we should do as we run the race? Yes, there are at least two things we should do, although these two must be done with God's help through His grace. First thing, it is clear we need to get rid of any heavy weights that are slowing us down. Just as it happens today, ancient athletes used to train with heavy clothes and small weights around their ankles. The actual race would become much more bearable after that. Now here the writer of Hebrews reminds us that we must get rid of everything in life that prevents us from having an excellent relationship with God and consequently with other people. Please know that the author indicates two aspects that must be here considered. First comes everything that hinders, and only then does he say, and the sin that so easily entangles. And this is extremely important because if we think that only sin gets in the way of the race of faith, we will be easily deceived by all those things that are not yet sin itself, but can lead us to a miserable life if we do not deal with them appropriately. Eating is not a sin, but inadequate food and overeating will undoubtedly bring you many problems that will consume your time and your money, not to mention the pain and suffering caused by a bad diet. Working is not a sin, but overextending ourselves to achieve success and fame and money can result in a less healthy life and less time for your family. And there is no point in saying afterwards that all your excessive work was done to provide comfort to your family. Your work will do no good if you rarely see them. Far too many people try to run the race of faith while carrying all kinds of heavy baggage. Some have no problem believing in God, and they even think God can perform miracles in their lives. But they carry too many anxieties about trivial concerns. Others go to God's message with the ambition of using the gospel as a means of self-advancement, directing resentment at other people, or indulging a secret greed for the pleasures of the flesh. All these heavy weights work like a hurdle in the way, blocking the path of the runners. There is no way to run and win the race if you are not willing to leave your nets at once and follow the Master along the way. The second thing we must do while running the race is to be patient. The journey of faith is much more of a marathon than a 100-meter race. It is a long haul, not a short run. Of course, we all like a short sprint. The problem is that usually when we run a longer race, we go far too fast at a start and then we get exhausted after 2 or 3 miles. Sadly, in the race of faith, many of us are keen and eager in our early days, but we run out of steam by the time we reach mature adulthood. We lose all energy for an active life with God. Things get even worse when in the attempt to mend things we recognize we are not happy and we frantically, we try to recapture the sparkle of a now inappropriate teenage style faith. We must enter this race knowing that we will have to persevere. Now, this should not come as a surprise, right? Since perseverance is the primary tool for achieving goals, we all know that nothing that is truly useful in this life is acquired without determination. If we want to see our dreams come true, then we have to patiently do our part. Now, perseverance might be less complicated than you think. It means being focused on what you plan to achieve. And God teaches you to look ahead so that you do not waste time on trivial matters that are not important to you or your family. Or as the Apostle Paul rightly said, "Therefore I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize." That's very interesting, isn't it? And that brings us to the third question. Who can we count on to help us throughout the race? Well, here you have to keep your eyes fixed on the finish line and on the one who is at the center of the cloud of witnesses, waiting there to greet you himself. Jesus ran this race before us. He pioneered the way. He opened up the race and brought it to successful completion. Our task is to follow in his steps. He has made it across the finish line, and the thought of his welcome at the end is the central motivation for us to continue in hope and faith and patience. We have to count on him throughout the race. Jesus kept his eye on a joy that was waiting for him, the joy of doing his Father's will, the joy of bringing his saving purpose to fulfillment, and he put up with the foul torture of crucifixion, a degrading and disgusting as well as excruciating and agonizing death. Now, as a result, he is in the key position of honor at God's right hand. And we must keep going, reminding ourselves continually of the one who blazed this trail in the first place. And along with Jesus are all those people who believed in him and his kingdom. They ran the same race before us. Some men and women set an example to show me and to show you that you don't have to give up. God uses their lives to show you that it is still possible. Now, in what sense are all these people an example for you today? Well, they were loyal and persevering. They showed us all the possibilities of faith. I would guess that countless times you have been tempted to give up on your race. Sometimes it seems that your finish line will never be reached. But the Word of God never said that the race is easy. It says that arrival is inevitable. So raise your eyes and focus your life on the finish line. Do not be discouraged. Look at the promises of God that were confirmed on the cross of Jesus. Jesus wants to help us win. He is our most excellent example and encourager. Lift your head because you belong to God, and He will help you win the race, no matter how great the obstacles. Do not be discouraged. The Lord is with you, and the Lord will support you. And as it happened with Gabriella in 1984, we are encouraged by the crowd who came before us. We may not see them now, we may not be able to hear their voices now, but they do speak out to us from the pages of history. You are not alone. You are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. So throw off everything that hinders you. Get rid of the sin that so easily entangles you. Run with perseverance, the race marked out for you with your eyes fixed on the Master. May our good Father in heaven bless you with strength and patience to keep running the race. May He give you understanding about the way that He wants to help you along the journey. He wants you to be the winner of the race of faith. And when you realize how great this is, well, this will change your life. All the best to you and your family. Bye now.